I thank you for stealing my spot there, kitty. Thanks. Oh, well then. Okay. Alright, let's get back to work, Jessy. Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you the tools that I use to make synthetic dreads and wool dreads. I know a lot of you have been asking on my Facebook and my Instagram and stuff like that, and things. So I figured I'd make an updated video of the stuff that I use for when I make dreads. Just having a bath on the couch, right, kitty? Meow. Meow. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the brushes I use. When I back comb my synthetic hair. Do I have a regular comb? I don't know where that went. Fuck. So I use a regular black plastic comb that has really tight bristles. When I'm doing the very ends of the hair, that's so it just gets compacted nicely. But I also use these kind of brushes. You can get full length combs like this as well, but these are the kind of things that I use. There's hair on it when I'm back combing the hair. This one here I like quite a bit. It has tighter bristles on this side and wider spaced out bristles on this side. I've been using this one for years. It never let me down, and it's awesome. So I suggest investing in at least a couple. This one I've had for a while, and it's a little broken, but I can fix that with glue. But these are the kind of brushes that I use to back comb the hair with. I don't use these on my pets at all, because I do have a cat. She has her own specific brush for her, if you were wondering that. But you can also use those like flea combs too to do the ends of your dreads. That will work. I do recommend using those. I don't use those anymore personally because I prefer the ends of my dreads to be a little bit looser and more like real hair. You know what I mean? So there's that. Those are those. So when it comes to sealing my dreads, I did have a steamer. I did make a video on how to steam your dreads, but that steamer is now broken because I fucking broke it, because I don't know, I just break things apparently. That's a good kind of thing to get. I got mine on Amazon, so I couldn't exactly return it because it broke after my thing expired, or whatever. But whatever, I don't care anymore. I am going to invest in another steamer, a better one, soon. I find them a lot easier to use. They get dreads done faster, which is great. The one thing is you have to make sure that you don't flood it, and that's probably one of the reasons why my old steamer broke, was because I flooded the engine of it. So yeah, you can get a steamer. You can also use one of these fuckers. So this is a flat iron. It's also a curler too. So if I ever make dreads that are curly, this is what I'm using to curl them. So this part latches onto the dread and you wrap it around. When you do this, you have to make sure that the dread is completely like wet. Wrap it around, hold it there for a couple minutes, take it off, and hold the dread until it sets. I know that's kind of a weird concept for synthetic hair, but it's the same for regular hair too, like real hair. You want to hold the curl until it sets, so until that dread is cold. And then that way your curl will stay. So with this one, it's nice. It's not like my old flat iron that I destroyed. This one works really good. It heats up fast. Perfect. So I use this in conjunction with like a thin towel, cloth, whatever, to make thin, soft dreads. You don't have to use a cloth. People constantly ask me why I don't use a cloth when I'm sealing certain dreads, and it's because if you use enough water and if you know what you're doing, you don't need to use a cloth because you won't burn it. If you're very new at synthetic dreads, I suggest using a cloth. It can be super thin, like a bandana. It can be like a hand towel, as long as you have that piece of material to protect your dread when you're sealing. Your dreads will be perfectly fine. I've been making synthetic dreads for like almost 10 years, and I've yet to fuck up a set by doing it this way. So, yeah. I also make dreads that you can install into real dreads. I used to have real dreads like 6 years ago, and I brushed them out because it just didn't really, they weren't matting the way that I liked. So if I ever do dreads again, I'd probably do like real dreads but crocheted them or something instead. I just didn't like how my hair was locking and it was getting matted and stuff in the back, so I ended up just brushing them out. But yeah, synthetic dreads are always a great option for you if you're interested in them. So that's those. I also use one of these. I had a bigger one and it ran away. I don't know where the fuck that went, but it's always good to have one of these. You can also use a trough bowl or whatever to have your water in and just dip your dread that's already backcombed in it and then seal it that way with a hook, whichever works for you. I don't own a dread loom. I didn't make a dread loom. I have a chair that broke that I use when I'm making my dreads because it can wheel around anywhere in my apartment, and I just use like any kind of thick rope. You can use dowels and stuff like that when you're making your dreads too. You can use clothing hangers and hook that on, and whatever you need to use it. Totally cool, totally fine. And I also use one of these. This is a heavy-duty clip thing. I got it at a hardware store in a pack of I think 5 or 4 or something like that. And I use these to hold the dreads secure onto the thing when I do stuff. Yeah, I used that. I used to use like the bowl clips, but those just kind of fucking fly off sometimes and it's a pain in the ass. And then I use one of these. This is a latch hook. This is a big latch hook. Where's my crochet needles? Yeah. So I use this for when I'm making like crochet dreads. That's like the wrapped crochet dreads is the style that I make. I also do like the hand crocheted dreads when you're like shoving it through and blah blah blah. I do that too. I also use these. These are crochet hooks. You can get them pretty much anywhere that sells this kind of stuff. I got the smallest one, these small ones, from Michael's, I believe. Yeah, Michael's. My friend is a manager there, and he bought them for me as a gift because he is great. Thank you, Calder. I love you. But these are always good to have around. I break these all the time, so I have like several of these. I have quite a few of them. But those are those. If you can't find a latch hook, one thing that you can do, I don't know if I have it over here or if the cat took it. Did you fucking take it? You fucking bitch. You did, didn't you? Oh, it's on the table. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. She's lost weight. Can you tell? Is she fatty? Are you a fatty? Is you a fatty? Is you fatty? She's the best cat ever. She doesn't fuck with my stuff. Especially my dread stuff. Right, kitty? You just want to sit there? You sit there the whole video? Okay. Sorry. So anyway, if you can't find one of these, another thing that you can use, and what I used to use, is a bobby pin and a hair tie. Whoop. This is for if you're making like transitional dreads, and you're trying to thread hair through. Just put the hair looped through the elastic, and then shove this fucker right through your dread, and it'll bring that hair along with it, and then you'll be able to backcomb it and attach it perfectly fine. Be careful with this part though, because it can snag. I always like bend it in like when I used to use these, I would bend this part in so these two were touching. That way it was easier to push it through the hair and then pull that thing through. You can also use this method to install your dreads too. It works. Some dread makers make the holes of their single-ended dreads like thicker, so you can just stick your fingers through and then grab the hair and pull it through. I don't really do that. I prefer using like a latch hook and stuff just because the dreads that I make are a little bit thinner than the usual. So that's all the stuff that I use for my synthetic dreads. When it comes to me making wool dreads, I usually order the wool off of certain people from Etsy. There's people that I follow on my Instagram that I talk to that I am considering doing a collab with. Wink wink. If you're watching this, you know who you are. And they can like dye the wool and then I'll make the dreads out of them. Yeah. So when it comes to my wool dreads, I use this brand of soap. This is Olive Soap. It's by Kiss My Face. My face. It smells delicious. There's a dent. It's been a while since I've made wool dreads. The wool set that I've been fucking with is still half done. But yeah, so this is the kind of brand that I use when it comes to olive soap. Any kind of brand of olive soap will do. You just want to keep an eye on the pH of the soap because it can react to your skin. When you install them in your hair, you want a good balance. That way there's no, things that happen. More things that I use for when I'm doing wool dreads is what I like to do is I do the soak and roll kind of thing. So you soak your wool dread in the water that has the olive soap in it. You roll it out. I let it dry because then it shows you how tight the wool is afterwards. And then after that, I put it on this piece of foam. I hold it down with one hand. I roll it with the other. And then with my two fingers like this, I hold down the hair and then I stab it with one of these fuckers. Be very careful with these things, by the way. They are very not nice to fucking get into your fingers because then you have to go to the hospital because these have barbs on them. These are, fuck, what are they called? Felting needles. There we go. Whoa. I don't know if you can see that. This is a felting needle. You can see those kind of barbs on the side. These are very fucking sharp. Be careful if you do decide to use these when you're making wool dreads. You don't have to felt your dreads this way. You do not have to. If you want them super tight, like super fucking tight, I would suggest using one of these. All you do is just stab the fuck out of it while you're holding it down. Be careful with your fingers. I have these pieces of leather that I use when I do this to stick on my finger to hold down the dread while I stab it to death with this felting needle. I got this off Amazon if you're wondering. I also have an awl. You can use those for holding the dreads in place if you don't want to stab them. I also have extra needles. And this thing is the best thing ever that I ever bought in my entire life. I suggest investing in one of these if you do decide to needle felt your dreads. I needle felt mine because I like them tight. I like them tighter. If you don't, just hand roll that shit. Just hand roll it. If you're scared of needles like this and like stabbing yourself, just hand roll it as much as you can, as much as possible. That's okay. I prefer my wool dreads to be tight, so I wet them, roll them out, let them dry, needle felt them, and then I repeat that process again. It takes a little bit longer, and if you've noticed, I don't have those kind of dreads on my web store yet, mostly because they take fucking forever to make if you do them my way. I am making a tutorial on how to do this to your wool dreads, so please stay tuned for that. So this fun contraption I got as a set from Amazon, and what it does is it locks, so you want to make sure that you can lock it, that way you don't stab yourself with it, but when you unlock it, if I can get it to fucking do the thing, there we go, unlock, you'll notice that there's like 5, oh wait, 7, there's 7 needles there. So this thing goes up and down like that while you're felting. I prefer felting dry when it comes to wool dreads, if I needle felt them. So this machine here, this little contraption, is perfect for when I'm stabbing the dreads, because this plastic thing guards your hands. So you just push it down and it goes like that, and it comes back like that. I prefer using this when I'm doing wool dreads opposed to using the just one needle. This works so much better than just using one needle. But if you can't find this, the one needle will do. And it just locks fairly simply like that. Yeah, I think that's all of my materials that I have. The only other thing is the hair and the wool. When it comes to wool, I buy mine on Etsy, as I said, Etsy, Store Envy, wherever, because I don't have like a specific retailer that sells just wool roving in the bag. So I prefer to buy it on Etsy or Store Envy or wherever. I do have people on my Instagram that do dye wool and make wool dreads and stuff. And eventually I'm gonna, you know, be like, hey, please make this. I make dreads out of dim. Thank you, bye. I will be doing that eventually, but until then, I'm just kind of fucking around with it. It's been a long time since I've made wool dreads, but I'm hoping to eventually do them and have them on my web store and stuff. But the thing is they will, unfortunately, be a bit pricey if you're into that. So yeah. I hope I didn't bore you with this video. I know I say and shit a lot, but yeah. Till next time.